The Power Play Post Show is on the air, covering minor league hockey since 2003, and now covering the Binghamton Black Bears with news, reactions, and in-depth interviews only heard here. And now, from the Box Studios in Kirkwood, New York, here are your hosts of the Power Play Post Show, Bob Howard and Taylor Welch.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Power Play Post Show. This is the show for January 29th, 2026. This is season 15, episode number 41, and episode number 555. That's right, number 555 of the long-running podcast that is the Power Play Post Show. Hello, everyone. I am Bob Howard. She is
Taylor Welch.
And welcome back, everybody, to the podcast. And we are excited. We have a great show planned for you. Great interview with Jacob Shankar that we're very excited for you guys to get to hear. But Taylor, I think the first thing we need to talk about is the fact that this upcoming weekend, you were kind of hoping that we would get Zach Sirota back. That's looking like it may not happen. And now Tyson Kirkby, the other kind of rat, so to speak, or pest in front of netminders, is on his way to the SPHL, working on that P1 visa. Your thoughts on Zach not coming back yet, and Tyson Kirkby obviously having to go and get that P1 visa renewed?
Well, I think everybody, all the other fans, of course they want Zach back. Everybody loves Zach. He's such a pleasure to have on the team. And he just seems like he's a lot of fun. He also seems like he's having a good time in Peoria. He's out there with Mac and the Anima, and I don't know if Henry's back on the ice yet or not. I know he was on the IR, but he's got some familiar faces out there, and it seems like he's getting along just fine. I do, in my selfish way, want Peoria to just send him back our way, but I know Peoria is down a couple of guys, and they got to fill their roster spots, and why not take a Black Bear? It does kind of suck that we don't have, if Zach hasn't come back yet this weekend, because as far as we know, we're not sure if he's back yet or not for this weekend.
Right.
And then we're kind of, we're also losing Tyson this weekend. So it does kind of suck to not have that pesty, rat-like presence in front of the net, just because it's always fun to watch. It's always a blast. I think Zach does it in like a more showboaty way where, it's almost like he's getting the fans involved when he does it.
Yeah.
Where Tyson, I feel like he just does it to mess with the goalie.
Yeah.
Like, I truly think that's the only thing that he does when he's in front of the net.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think there's a little bit of showmanship from Zach Sirota when he does it. But I think with Tyson Kirkby, that's his MO, right? That's his, put on his boots, his work boots, and go to work type of MO. But that's because he's done it for so long. And maybe it's not so showy anymore for him, but it's more of this is what I got to do to help the team out. It'll be interesting. Listen, if we didn't have Tyson going up to do that, if we did have Zach Sirota coming back, a decision would have to be made on the roster. We just did the math, so you guys don't have to. If Zach Sirota came back and Tyson Kirkby came back, the team would be at 22. The extra goaltender doesn't count, so that would be 23, so to speak, with the extra goaltender. But seeing that the third goaltender doesn't count, so I think that realistically, it'd be nice to have Tyson here or Zach back and Tyson going up to the SPHL. But I think this is the right situation for this team right at the moment, because if not, a decision would have to be made. And we've already said this multiple times, and we're repeating ourselves when we say this. We don't want to do what Brant Sherwood has to do when it comes to keeping this team within the roster limits.
Yeah, I'm really glad that, we had spent the several minutes before we started recording on the show to kind of go over the roster and kind of figure some things out. Because me and you, and I'm sure a lot of the other fans have kind of spent, today or the last couple of days being like, well, when's Zach coming back? Is Zach coming back?
Right.
Who's going to be leaving next? And as we found out, it's Tyson who's going up next to get his P1 visa renewed. So now that we've kind of actually sat down and figured it out and kind of, took everything into consideration, I think it is the best way. Zach, he's fitting in fine in Peoria. He's giving them the people that they need on their roster. And it helps us out because now we don't have to do anything. We don't really have to think about it in this moment. And,
yes.
If Zach does come back, I really would hate to be Brant. And beating a dead horse at this point, but It's just that's sometimes the hardest things that you have to do on this team because, again, the fans absolutely love these guys, and it's always so hard to see somebody go. Unless, they figure out some other things. Somebody could go on the IR at some point. We're going to have several call-ups in the next several weeks with so many Canadian players and, of course, Bondarenko.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what happens over the next couple of weeks with the player movements to getting their P1 visas renewed and how that all works out.
Yeah, absolutely. So it'll be very interesting. And we also can't forget is Bondarenko and Tomei, who are the international players, right? The internationals in a sense, non-North American. And then you have all these Canadian players. But when we're looking at the roster, if you take Tyson Kirkby out of that top line where you got Ivan Bondarenko and CJ Stubbs, the question then remains, who do you plug into that spot? Now, we've talked about this many times last season and this season that the Black Bears can usually kind of find a player and fit it into a, part of the like put a peg in the cog, and it just for some reason seems to work. But they're also coming off of being shut out 4-0, right? So you're out, you get shut out 4-0, and then you kind of don't have Zach coming back, or maybe he does before Friday. I don't know, but it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. But then you have Tyson go. So now you got to figure out who fits into that cog. We don't just put Nick Swain on the top line with Bondarenko and Stubbs. I think you have to either move Stubbs over to the center position and put, like, say, someone else up there at the top. Maybe it's Gavin Yates, and then you have Kyle Steffen and Nick Swain and Jacob Shankar on the same line, or just Garrett Sargis move up to the top line in between Bondarenko and Stubbs to be that top line. It'll be interesting to see what Brant Sherwood does in the end when we get to the game on Friday.
So play coach, and who would you put in your center line on the first line?
I think I would move CJ Stubbs into the center. And as I just said, I think I would put Gavin Yates up on that top line. I just think that Gavin and Bondarenko give you the speed and the skating. And then Stubbs could be the guy that you try to set up. You try to set up CJ Stubbs on that top line. It changes things up a little bit. Like, we haven't seen Gavin up there in a little while. Maybe you put him up there and you do that. I think Sargis going up there, and maybe you move, CJ over to the center and you put Sargis on his right wing, right? Maybe that's a possibility. But I haven't seen the same scoring touch out of Sargis as we have with Gavin Yates. So putting Gavin up there with CJ, who obviously has been scoring very well, one of the leaders in the league, and then you put Gavin up there, who, first of all, on the power play is excellent. He has almost 20 goals, if not 20 goals this season. I think you could do really well with Bondarenko, CJ Stubbs, and Gavin Yates on the same line.
Yeah, I don't disagree. And if you've been paying attention to the last couple of games, you've noticed that between Tyson and Stubbs, they've been going back and forth on the faceoffs, depending on which faceoff dot they're going on.
Yeah. So I think having Stubbs still, be there and be the center is absolutely fine. And then I think Swain, you could probably move Jacob Shankar over to the left side, put Nick Swain on his natural right side of Kyle Steffen, and you'd be fine. I thought Sargis, Ramakers, and Jansen looked good on Saturday. I didn't see any problems with that. You could keep that the same way. And then, of course, you roll Emerson Emery out there as the 10 forward. Now, again, I haven't talked to Brant, so I don't have the inside information on how he's going to set this up. He probably was working on it today in practice and trying to figure out where he wants to put people. They'll watch the guys in practice and then figure it out from there.
Yeah, well, everybody always counts on you for the inside scoop, so it was nice to kind of.
I don't always get it. I was going to
say it's nice to kind of get inside your head and see where you would put things, and we'll see if it kind of compares to what happens this weekend.
Yeah, I think Sargis and Jansen stay where they are, honestly, but I do think that you could easily move Gavin up to that right side on the first line, and that could spark something for this team. Now, we also need to see D'Orazio start to score a little bit more because defenseman-wise, he's the guy you're going to rely on, especially on the power play, to get something past. So I think going into this weekend, and let me get your opinion on this before I give you my opinion. who would be the key to the Black Bears winning both games? Which guy, when you're looking at the forward list, when you're looking at the defense list, who's the guy that has to step up? Not that they don't all step up, because they do in a lot of ways, but who's the guy that you think is got to be the key for this team? If Sirota's not here, Tyson's not here, who's the guy that has to make that little extra difference that we'll notice by the end of Saturday's game?
That one's a tough one for me, because I kind of have it between two guys. And so the first guy, I'm going to have to say CJ, just because, he's had so many game-winning goals this season already. He's been phenomenal this season. Mm-hmm. And I think that if you truly needed him to, that he's going to be able to produce if that's what's required. But at the same time, if there's a power play opportunity that we get more of, I'm going to have to say Yates, because that's what he's been so excellent on this season so far, is the power play and kind of getting in there. I feel like he's been like one of those quiet guys that, you notice him on the ice and that kind of thing. But I could have probably written about him many times for impact players, and I just haven't yet. But I think he's one of those guys that, if Binghamton has a lot of power play opportunities, you're going to want Yates. You're going to want him to get in there and do what he needs to do.
I agree with both your choices. I think CJ and Gavin Yates, I think if the Black Bears are going to be successful this weekend, both of those guys need to have big games. But I'm going to throw out a third guy that I think needs to step up, have two big games for the Black Bears, and that's Kyle Steffen. He's got all the skill. He's got all the ability. And now he's your one guy that likes to kind of stir it up in front of the goaltender that is still in this team. Because Emerson Emery, he'll get actually in front of the goaltender. He doesn't. This is not a knock on him. I don't see him doing the same things that Sirota and Tyson do in front of the goal, but Kyle Steffen gets really kind of in there and tries to get into that greasy stuff. And he says he likes to muck it up a little bit with these guys, and he knows his role there. I think Kyle Steffen needs to bang home a couple goals and also get that. For this team to be successful this weekend, I really do think, like you said, CJ Stubbs, Gavin Yates, and I think Kyle Steffen, there's the experience there with the three of them that really could help this team be more successful. All right. Black Bears and Power Play Post Show fans, the 11x14 poster giveaway is back for you here on the Power Play Post Show. We know you've got your favorite Black Bears pair, like Dan Stone, because somebody picked him last week, or Ivan Bondarenko, who was also picked last week. And now you got a chance to bring them home, or any Black Bears player, in a big way. We're giving away an 11x14 player poster, printed sharp and ready to hang. Here's how it works. At some point during the show tonight, we are going to drop a special code phrase. When you hear it, send that code phrase directly to Taylor via direct message on Facebook. And just like calling in to win contest tickets, if you are the first person or the fifth person or whatever number we choose for the episode, boom, you win. If you win, we will have your poster printed and ready for you at a future game. And if you can choose any current Black Bears player poster or player that you want. We'll let you do Connor McNamara and Zach Sirota as well, of course. We'll be doing this regularly. If you don't win this week, keep listening for the next chance. Stay locked in and get ready. That code phrase is coming up later in the show.
And it's going to be a good one. I'm throwing that out right now. It's a good one. I think the fans are going to really like the code phrase for this week.
Good. I like it.
The Power Play Post Show relies on your support to grow. If you're listening on YouTube, make sure to subscribe and like the episode. Those actions help YouTube recommend the show to more hockey fans, expanding our reach and supporting future content. Subscribe and like to help the show continue moving forward.
All right. The Power Play Post Show is available on all major podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show on your favorite app, and don't forget to subscribe. Join the conversation on Facebook. Search Power Play Post Show and become part of our community. Looking for everything Binghamton Hockey, visit binghamtonhockey.net, your go-to source for history, stats, and all things Binghamton Hockey. Coming up on this episode of the Power Play Post Show, I know there are a lot of Shankars and people who are friends and family of Jacob that are excited about this, but we have Black Bears forward rookie Jacob Shankar here on the show. I know a lot of people are kind of excited about this. This is one of those where, Taylor, I released the the little player power play post show guest announcement graphic, and over on my PPP show Bob page, it was shared more times than anybody else this year. So
that's crazy. I mean, there's so many fans that absolutely love him. I mean, it's hard to say that because there's so much love for all the players, but it really seems like Carr is kind of taking the lead on the amount of fan love that he gets.
No, I absolutely, I totally agree with you. Let's talk a little bit about the shutout history, because I think there was some confusion about it, Taylor. So I wrote up a document, I think for Monday, I think it was Monday that I wrote it up. But let's make it perfectly clear about the shutouts and the history of shutouts for the Binghamton hockey franchise.
So we're going to get some clarification on the shutout history for the Binghamton Black Bears. The Black Bears have only been shut out 3 times in franchise existence. The Black Bears have only been shut out in the regular season twice and only once in the playoffs. The Black Bears have been shut out twice on the road, in Winston-Salem in 2023 in the regular season, and then in Port Huron 2025 during the playoffs. The Black Bears have only been shut out once at home in Binghamton to PD on 1/24/2026, which we all just witnessed. But on a better note, and a much better number, lastly, the Black Bears have had 16 shutout games in the franchise's 4.5-year existence. Combined with playoffs, the Black Bears have shut out opponents 12 times at home and 4 times on the road.
Yeah. Now, I'll be honest with you. Before the end of the game on Saturday, I had no idea any of this information. I didn't know that. Well, I had known that we had shut out a lot of teams, especially in the last, probably since Connor McMahon showed up, because Emery, I almost said Ray Emery. Rest in peace, Ray. Sorry about that. But since Connor, Eggy, and Dominic Tomei have been here, I knew that in the last 2.5 years. But before that, I didn't know. Like, we had shut out people 16 times. I had to actually go back and look at all the results and start computating it, because people were asking me at the end of the game on Saturday, hey, is that our first shutout here? Or shutout that we've given up? And I was like, I don't know. I know the last time we had been shut out before that was 2023 in the regular season, and 2025, obviously last year against Port Huron. But the number is so lopsided, right? We've shut out more teams it's more than 5 times. That's crazy.
Yeah, actually, I looked into it. I don't remember if it was the post that you had made on Monday or if it was after the game. But I remember seeing Kyle Powell's comment about, is this the first one in Binghamton? Because he said he couldn't remember at times, since he was a player here.
Well, Kyle, if you're listening, you were right.
So it made me, I think I pulled out my computer right then and there and just kind of like scrolled back through all the scores and all the years. And yeah, I was just as shocked as I think everybody else was. It's definitely an interesting stat, and to only have 3 happen and 1 in a playoff, that's pretty solid in my opinion.
Yeah, it's only twice in regular season and once in playoffs. That's pretty astounding. I mean, Connor McInerney has shut out 4 games in the playoffs last year, right? In the playoffs, he had 4 shutouts. That's more than we've been shut out, period, in 4.5 years. So that's a pretty impressive thing. I want to talk a little bit more about the jersey from Friday night, the inverse jersey. Is that okay, Taylor? Can I talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, it's perfectly fine.
I really liked the jersey. I've seen just a little bit of negative reaction about the jersey, about the B, about the design of the B, about how they should have had the bear logo actually on there, because that's our logo. Almost in every iteration of Binghamton hockey, probably from, the Rangers on up through, there's always been these alternate jerseys. There's always been like a third jersey in some cases, or these specialty jerseys. And I don't know what lens people are looking through sometimes. I don't know what pair of glasses that they're wearing when they're looking at this. I just think this is an outstanding looking letter. I like the way the letter was designed. I love the colors. I love the fact that it was white at home, which we almost never get, except for when they wear the away jerseys so the team photographers can get pictures for graphics, and which is something that, is more of a newer thing over the last 10, 15 years than something that happened 20 or 30 years ago in hockey. I personally love these jerseys. I wanted to say it out loud. I would be happy, and I'm just throwing this out there, if they actually were to use this design, that letter B design, the way it was designed, in other configurations of the thing. Because I'm going to say something that is probably going to worry people. I absolutely hate the primary logo for the Binghamton Black Bears. I've never liked that B, the bear inside the B. Never have liked it at all. This is the first B that has been used with the Black Bears that I could say I would wear that. And the other thing, Taylor, I actually regret not getting a jersey now. I really do. I really do. I have the Flying Bee jersey that the Sens created, which I think is gorgeous and so well done. And it looks like it's a professional, like an NHL quality logo in jersey for a jersey. I love that one. And that B that EJ created is almost just as good. And I actually regret not getting one of the jerseys.
Yeah, I don't think there's been too many jerseys that EJ has done that I've been like, haven't been a big fan of. And quite honestly, if there is a time where I'm not a fan of a jersey, I just don't get one. It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
Specialty jerseys, they will wear one game. They auction them off. People who want the jersey will buy them. They will take them home, wear them if they want to, put them in a frame, hang them up, whatever they want to do with them after that. But after that, it's not a big deal anymore. So if you're not a fan of the jersey, it's not like, it's not an everyday thing.
Sure.
That's always my take on it, because I've seen there's kind of going on the jersey talk. Mm-hmm. I've seen a bunch of talk about the sock out jerseys that people haven't been a fan of the colors, and they kind of wish that it still had like the Binghamton colors, but with the sock out on it as well.
Right.
And I've seen that kind of floating around a little bit. But again, in my opinion, if you didn't like it, you didn't have to get it, kind of thing. That's just, it's the same thing. Like when you see something on Facebook and you don't like it, you have the option to just scroll. And a lot of people have a hard concept with that, because there's so many people that like to talk. And, if you have a different opinion than somebody else, it creates a huge issue.
Yeah.
Like, I don't mind any of the jerseys that Binghamton has done. You obviously dislike the original B, which is totally fine.
It's just well, for me, it's the logo. It's not the rest of the jersey, though, right? For me, it's just the logo. If you notice, I don't use it for anything. When I'm promoting the Black Bears, I use the bear head. During the pregame graphic, right? The game day graphic that I do every morning that I put up there on Fridays and Saturdays for each game. I use their fifth anniversary logo right now. And then for everything else, I use the bear head. It's unusable, in my opinion. It's a very unusable logo that was designed without the thought of everything needs to be a perfect square when it comes to logos, because that's how they fit perfectly. Like, I disliked very much so the Thunderbirds logo, not because of the actual design on that one, because I thought the design was nice for like a shoulder patch, right? But it doesn't fit in a square box. So when you're doing a score bug, it doesn't fit right. You either have to make it really thin or narrow, and you understand this because you're an artist. You understand design and everything, right? You need things to fit in things properly. Logos should fit in a square box. They just should. That's just how they're made. Like the new Ice Cats one for PD. It fits in a perfect box. It can be a perfect square, and you fit it in that box, and you can do those things with it. The Thunderbirds original logo that everybody loved, that they hated, that they got rid of, and now they've got the new one. I like the new one because it fits in a box perfectly. And EJ, I've had this conversation with EJ multiple times, and I know we've probably lost half of our audience because I'm talking about something that has to do with design and graphics and stuff like that. But it matters when you're trying to design a graphic to put out there, like I've done all the graphics that you see for the Power Play Post Show. Those are my designs. They're not great. I totally get that. But I do like graphics that will fit in within those graphics, or logos that'll fit in those graphics properly. The B is just so tall. It doesn't fit. And if you fit it in, then it gets really skinny and then it looks stupid. So
yeah, I don't think you lost half the fans, because I'm sure the second they heard you say that you dislike a jersey, they were right. They've been listening this whole time to hear the kind of smack talking you've been doing about these jerseys.
Well, no, I mean, and again, I like the colors of the Black Bears because it's something different we've never had here in Binghamton, really. The color scheme, so the green and the black and the white. I
will say it's better than the first year, because the first year it was like a lighter green. The logo is slightly different.
Yeah.
So it definitely got better after the first year.
But yeah, so I actually really liked, because I used it when they did the inverse. I used the bear head in the thing where I asked people, because I thought you were going to be at the game collecting the amounts of the jerseys, because you almost always are, and that's kind of like your.
Everybody was counting on me. I got messages after messages after the game.
I know, it's so funny. I'm like,
they're like, where's the list? They're like, I wasn't there. I'm so sorry.
I'm like packing up my gear. I'm about ready to go down to the corner to talk to some of the guys while the jersey auction has happened, which I do all the time. And I always get down there, and I always miss the first few guys. And then I go and I look at my phone, and Taylor sends me a message that said, "Hey, I'm not going to be here for the jersey auction. I'm leaving." And I'm like, what the frig? Why? I put out this nice graphic that I kind of created using the inverse bear logo and then putting the B in the corner. And I thought that was great. And then Taylor bails on us. I see how it is.
Listen. I tried.
It's okay.
He had to go to work. I had to, sacrifices had to be made.
I know. One last thing I want to talk about, and I want to give a lot of props to the Binghamton Black Bears staff. Now, we're talking about people from both sides of the staff, right? We're talking about people in the locker room, and we're talking about people up in the back office. Bobby Gross and Kelsey and Trevor, EJ. These are all guys that have been here. The stability of the Binghamton Black Bears staff is so impressive. And the reason why I say that is because, again, someone like Scott Brand is let go from the PD IceCast on Tuesday. And this is a guy who came in who has been a part of a few, maybe 3 or 4 now, 5 Fed teams. Columbus, Motor City. I think he was down south in the Bayou area, Mississippi, maybe it was, trying to help these teams because he has a good track record of getting teams back on track. And then they keep him around for like partial seasons, and then he's let go. And he's a really great guy. I think he knows hockey really well, but he also knows the business side of hockey very well. And it just made me think to myself, man, are we freaking lucky or what? Like, if you're a fan and you need a ticket, you call up Bobby Gross and he takes care of you. Or you need something within the community, you reach out to Trevor, and Trevor will help take care of you, right? Or you call Brooks, or you call Kelsey, and if you need something that has to do with tickets right there, then and there, she's there to help you. And we've had these people for years now. We can say years, right? And that's impressive. We've only had 3 head equipment managers here in the history. Now, equipment managers, they kind of move around a little bit, right? Because it's a job that for a while doesn't get paid all that much. But Dylan went to the American Hockey League. He trained Aiden to take his spot, and because he kind of knew his time was coming and he was going to go. And that's okay. But we've had stability in the Black Bears office. And if you are an owner of a team and you're for some god-awful reason listening to my show, you need to talk to Andreas Johansson. And you got to say, what am I doing wrong? Because if you have people leaving, and one of the big reasons why there are troubles in Biloxi and other cities is because you just can't keep people in one place. And one of the things that will make your team successful, and I'm sure they see this in Carolina because they have a lot of the same people in Carolina and they stay there, right? And in Danbury as well, as much as I don't like Sherm, or Herm or whatever his name is, same type of thing there. He's got stability in there, and that helps that team stay strong. Same thing in Binghamton, same thing in Twin City. So I think we're lucky. I think we're so lucky that we have the staff that we have and that they've been around for so long. And I feel like the city of Binghamton is very lucky to have Andreas and the staff that's been here.
Yeah, I don't think there's a single person who would disagree with you. I mean, the fan base feels lucky to have this team, to have the ownership, the people in the office that we do. I'm sure that the team feels lucky to have the fans and, the people in the locker room. And I think it's just a full circle there. And even Andreas, there's no place better than Binghamton. Truly, there isn't. It's a hockey town through and through. And I think that's kind of one of the biggest things is that there's so much love in Binghamton and for the people in all of the workings. It's not just the team. It's not just the coach. It's not just the guy in charge. It's everybody combined that it's created something great in Binghamton.
Yeah. And when Andreas came here, he came in as a sole owner and now he's got partners. Right? Because these partners saw the success that Andreas had built business-wise, number one, but also that the city was supporting and backing. I mean, this team's attendance continues to go up. At some point, it's going to plateau and it can't go up any higher. Not necessarily because you're selling out every single game, because I don't know if that's possible in Binghamton unless it's 1974 and the Dusters are here. But that's where they're headed. They're headed to the point where walk-up is going to be very minimal, and which is a good thing. I mean, season tickets like almost doubled this past year. That's crazy to have happen in your fourth year in the Fed. There are some teams that can't make it through 1 year. And I think that is the consistency and the stability of the organization and the team members in it that are that way. And I just wanted to spend a few minutes talking about that because of what I saw with Scott Brand. I feel for him. I've talked to him online a little bit. He is, first of all, one of the funniest guys out there on social media, doesn't take himself seriously at all. But I know that behind the scenes from everybody that I've ever talked to, kind of, one of those guys that goes in, gets things up and running really, really well, and for some reason then is told to leave, and it's too bad.
Yeah, that really is just a shame. I think all the fans, the players, the team, everyone knows how lucky we are in Binghamton, and I think we're really grateful for everybody that we do have here.
I agree. All right, so coming up next year, not that I'm fired up a little bit, I am a little bit fired up. It's kind of crazy. I'm banging a cup on the counter. I'm sure everyone can hear that, and I don't mean to do that. All right, coming up next year on the Power Play Post Show, he is Jacob Shankar. We'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Hi, this is Don Biggs from the 92-93 Binghamton Rangers. Hi, this is Brandon Buczynski.
This is Grady Wittenberg, the voice of the Binghamton Senators, and you're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
Here is another Power Play Post Show interview exclusive with Bob Howard.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. I'd heard now, and Jacob can definitely let me know on this, that he actually asked if I was going to ever invite him here on the show. So we'll get that answer if this is true, if he really did ask this question in just a few seconds. But coming to us from the Binghamton Black Bears, he is forward Jacob Shankar. Jacob, welcome to the show. It's great to have you on.
Yeah, it's great to be on. I'll answer that question right away. I did in fact ask Brooksy that, so I'm sure you two must have talked about it.
Yes.
But no, I was excited to get on and talk to you and give some more information for the fans about me and about the team, I guess.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think for sure, other players will listen to the interview and get to learn a little bit more about you, because I probe the mind of the players and get you guys to talk, and which is pretty cool. But Jacob, thank you very much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's my pleasure being on.
Okay, so let's start off with the obvious conversation. I think you probably had this conversation a little bit with Brooks on the Tully's Good Time show, but you are from Prescott, Ontario, and if that name sounds familiar to any of the fans out there, of course, it is where the captain, Tyson Kirkby, is from as well. And you told me a little bit off air about the relationship between you, the Shankars, and of course the Kirkbys. But can you kind of like delve into that a little bit for the fans, as there is definitely a relationship. You have an older brother who played with Tyson, and so you guys have known each other for a very long time.
Yeah, as I was telling you off air, yeah, we've known the Kirkbys for forever. It seems like. I know. Him and my brother did the Timbits together, which is, learn to skate. And then I think played against each other in mites and then ended up playing together for quite some time. So Tyson was often at the Shankar residence and my brother was often at the Kirkby residence. And then, as we grow older, we kind of all end up just hanging out together. And then me and Tyson actually played juniors together in Kempville for the 73s. So my first year in the CC, he was my captain, and it was nice to go to a team where you have so much respect for the captain and already kind of know him and have a bond with him. Mm-hmm. So he definitely helped me out in my younger years.
Now, was that a big part of you coming to the Black Bears, was the relationship with Tyson? Because obviously after your final year with Wentworth, you didn't play in 24-25. So was there like a conversation that got you thinking, well, maybe I can play hockey still? And then obviously a conversation with Tyson?
Yeah. So I got a job as an assistant project manager out of school, and it was a really good opportunity. So I kind of decided I was going to go that route, and things didn't work out with my work visa. So I was kind of trying to figure out what I was going to do next in life, and if I was going to move home or what I was really going to do. And my brother, who has been playing overseas now, this is his third year, we were talking and he's like, maybe you should try to play hockey again. Maybe you reach out to Tyson and see if there's a spot there, or you can earn a spot and go from there. So I texted Kirks and was like, hey, are you guys looking for any more forwards? Is there any roster spots open? Kind of what's going on with Binghamton, as he's over the years obviously talked a lot about Binghamton and, how great the fans are, which has not surprised me at all. Everything he's kind of said about the team and cultures has been true. And so he said, yeah, you know what, let me get you in contact with Coach Sherwood. And, I had a great conversation with him, thought about it for about a week. And then I was like, yeah, you know what, let's do it. Let's try my hand at playing again. And now here we are.
Was it an easy decision after you talked to Kirks and after you talked to Brent Sherwood, or was it something that you still really had to think about a little bit?
It was more of I'm kind of unsure, not playing for a year, just playing, men's league is a lot different than, competing at this level.
Sure.
So trying to, get into shape and be back to the player I was in college and have the stamina and, all of that and all the other things that go along with, playing the game. I wasn't really sure. And then, I talked to my parents more about it. They were kind of like, this opportunity probably won't, right? You're already 25 at the time. I think I was 26 actually. It was like, it's kind of now or never. I'll try. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but at least I can say, I did my best and I gave pro hockey, a shot.
The coming obviously into training camp and working with a pro team has to be a lot different than college hockey or even junior hockey. You were in a very competitive league in junior A, in the CC, and then of course you saw hockey in Wisconsin, you saw hockey in Massachusetts, or at least the Northeast, New England area. So you've seen hockey, very competitive hockey, in three different portions of that. Coming into camp, what was your thoughts on this versus what you had seen before?
Coming into camp here versus, juniors in college, I would say it was a lot more competitive, because obviously you're all trying to get the remaining spots on the team or earn your spot on the team. Mm-hmm. Versus, college, once you commit, you're already on the team. And juniors, for the most part, once you, decide on a team you're going to go to, you kind of already know your place.
Right.
So it's not as nerve-wracking or competitive going into those situations. It's more, you're trying to figure out where you slot in that lineup and on that team. And you're kind of looking around, seeing the other guys and figuring out where you fit in. Versus here, it was more, okay, these guys are just coming for camp, and then they're going to, SP or coast teams. And then these guys are the guys staying. So which guys are, the vets, and obviously, Jansen, Bondarenko, Kirkby, all those guys, they're staying, they're in the top six. So where do I slot in on this team? What do I have to do to make this team? And, those were a bunch of thoughts going through my head during training camp. And it seemed to work out in my favor, and I earned a spot on the team.
Now,
which was nice.
Yeah, who do you have conversations with? Like, if you're a rookie coming in, and of course, I know you're friends with Tyson, so you have Tyson that you could obviously pick his brain on. But but Tyson hasn't been that first year guy in a while. Is there a guy on this team that maybe you had some conversations with, even if the person's not here anymore, that you were able to kind of like, how do I figure out what my role is? How do I figure out my place on this team? Was there anybody on this team that you kind of like opened up to and had that conversation with?
I would say there was, two main guys who kind of helped me out. Obviously the first one, being Tyson.
Yeah.
He kind of, told me how, coach expected me to play and how he thought I needed to play to be here. And then, Jesse Anderson as well was another guy who, I had some conversations with about, my role on the team and kind of what I needed to do. And, he was really good to me as well.
Now, Jesse's one of the quieter guys on the team. This is the first time I've heard somebody say, hey, yeah, I talked to Jesse. I know Chichu last week also mentioned it. So, very interesting to find out, Jesse, because he is a quiet guy, but I think he also probably brings a lot of perspective too, because not only when he joined this team, he came in as a forward, but then switched over to defense. So he has a different perspective on sometimes the changing roles. Is the role for you on this team? I know you and Emerson Emery talk about, hey, if we need to go, if we need to drop the gloves to help, change the momentum of the team. Was it something that was kind of easy to kind of have that conversation with Jesse because he had a perspective of, well, I went from one position to another position?
I don't really know if it was that. I think it was more, one of my first couple weeks here, him and Scott were going to taco night at Los Tapatitos, and they kind of put it in the group chat, and I was like, you know what, I'm not doing anything. I'm kind of around. I'm going to go. And, you get talking and you learn more about the guys. So I was kind of more open with him, and that kind of, I guess built a connection for me anyways, to him and Scott. And then, we just kind of get talking, and they kind of, point me in the right direction of how I kind of needed to play.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You go down with an injury. We don't want to talk about the injury itself, but what goes through your head when, you kind of get the diagnosis, all right, you're going to be out for a little bit. How do you kind of keep yourself in good spirits, knowing that you want to be out on the ice? Your teammates are out there, they're battling. Listen, this team is 30-4, so there's no complaints. Everybody should be in a good mood. And I know working hard to get that next win is always important. But for you, you're a young player, right? You just made this team, and now you have this injury. What goes through your head through that? How do you keep yourself positive moving forward?
I got a lot of support from the team. A lot of the guys, coming up to me and just saying, this sucks, but, it's not that long, just work hard and you'll be back, in no time.
Mm-hmm.
So my personal mindset was kind of, one day at a time, just kind of go to the rink, do what I need to do to get ready, do the Q workouts, and then, that day's done and I'm one day closer to being back on the ice.
How are the Q workouts? You mentioned them, and a couple of people have mentioned them a few times here on the show. How are the Q workouts?
They're intense. They're definitely intense. He played for a long time at a high level.
Yeah.
And he knows what you need to do to stay in shape and to get in shape. And, he definitely helped me out with that. I kind of already noticed, a little bit more jump in my step coming back this weekend. And, I owe that to like him and Coach Sherwood for, pushing me as hard as they did when I was, sidelined there for a bit.
Other than the workouts, what else has Coach Q brought to this team to make you guys better every week or every game or every shift? What else has Coach Q brought? Because Brant Sherwood obviously knows how to be a head coach. Obviously, the last couple of seasons, winning 2 championships. But even he said, I can't wait to learn from Coach Q as well. What else do you think that Coach Q, other than the workouts, has really brought to this team that's helped this team be so successful this year?
His knowledge of the game is very, very, very elite. And, he sees the game from a different perspective,
mm-hmm.
Than a lot of us do. And that definitely helps, us, or at least me anyways, if I'm talking for myself,
sure.
Make plays and see plays develop a little bit earlier. And, we go over it in practice and video, and, he's not afraid to speak his mind, and it definitely helps. He's also really, really funny in the locker room.
Really?
Yeah, me and Durazio get a good kick out of him probably every day. He says something that makes us laugh. So like on the ice, very intense, very knowledgeable, but off the ice, just really, really funny guy.
Gotcha. I've also heard the same thing a little bit about Sargis as well. Intense on the ice, but off the ice, still a very nice guy to be around and talk to. I have to imagine having, the few rookies that you guys have this season, a few guys that are 2 or 3 years into their career, but then you have a guy like Garrett Sargis, you have, another guy like Coach Q being a part of this team, really kind of showing you guys how to be pros. I got to imagine that's been a big benefit for you guys.
Yeah, it has. Sarge was, I think a great addition to the team. He's definitely intense on the ice, and he's a big boy for sure, and knows how to play pro hockey, and he's done it for a long time. And he is also a funny guy in the room. He likes to joke and pull a couple pranks here and there. So he was a good addition, and he was cute as well.
Who does the best pranks?
I would say Sarge. He's more the prank guy in the locker room. It's more just, subtle jokes here and there. And, I'm pretty gullible, so he's gotten me quite a few times, unfortunately.
Now, I guess my question is, because we know how big Sarge is, we know that he's a workout machine, very much like Coach Q, but probably even bigger than Coach Q. I have to wonder, has anybody tried to prank Sarge?
Not since I've been around. I definitely wouldn't. He's a big guy, and I don't think you want to kind of get on his bad side when the wires cross. So I think most guys kind of leave him away. But no, he's not really like that. Anyways, he's good fun, and you prank him, he'd probably just laugh and just get you back even worse. So I think guys know, he's been in the locker room a long time, and whatever you do to him, he's probably gonna get you back, and it's not gonna be as fun.
We've talked a little bit off air about youth hockey, really in North America. We talked a little bit about prep school hockey in Massachusetts and obviously high school hockey in Minnesota, which Mac Jansen and Dan Weber can talk hours about. And, especially the championship games where the Wild play. But talk a little bit about Prescott and the province of Ontario and in that area of Ontario, because as you were telling me off air, that even in the short time from when you played youth hockey, going through, U10, U12, U14, U16, those levels, that there were adding more teams, adding a single A, triple A, double A, that type of stuff. And I got to imagine that even when your brother played, there was probably less, and now there's more in just a short time.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be a shortage of hockey players in Canada by any means, even in the small town of Prescott. They still, fill up teams. When I was young, we for mites, we had 3 different teams, and they try to split it up as evenly as possible. And then, you'd go to surrounding areas and play that one team. But we had 3, and we would still play, the Brockville team or Morrisburg, Kempville, and play those teams. And usually, well, my age anyways, we'd usually beat them. And it was kind of crazy being, Brockville is about 30,000 people and we're only 5,000. So, it was kind of a good thing for us, just having that many kids in such a small area playing. And then, you grow up and you go and you play. Once you turn about, I would say 10 to 12, you'd play double A, or at least I did. And then, the next year was triple A, and then it was triple A until 18, unless you're going to play in the OHL or you're going to go play junior hockey, because you can do that once you're 16. But for me, I played double A until I was 16 years old. And then I switched to forward because I was a defenseman growing up.
Oh,
and
so you can skate. So you can skate backwards. Well, can you do a figure 8 backwards?
Yeah, I think so. I haven't done it in quite some time.
My mom was a figure skater, and she could do a figure 8 backwards with no problems. And it's like, Mom, you should be a defenseman in hockey. But that's funny. So I always ask that question to defensemen. It's like, can you skate backwards and do a figure 8? It's not an easy thing to do, and I think a lot of forwards would fall down if they tried, unless they played, because playing defense, you skate backwards a lot. So, yeah. So you switched. So you were a defenseman and then you went to forward.
Yeah. So it was when I was 15, actually. I was playing double A, and a couple of our forwards were out. They were, hurt or sick or something. And we were in a tournament in, I don't know, probably Toronto somewhere. And our coach was like, we need, a couple guys to play forward. And then I was like, yeah, whatever. I'll give it a shot. And I had a pretty good game. And after that, the coach was like, yeah, we're just going to keep you on forward. And then I played forward, and I kind of never looked back after that.
Now, I noticed that through your junior A career, you played for a couple different teams in like 2017, 18, and then 2018, 19. I've said multiple times on this show, I don't completely always understand junior hockey up in Canada, but there's so much movement. Like players get traded. Like it's almost like a business when we're talking about 16, 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds. And it's crazy how it's so cutthroat almost in a case. For your situation for those 2 years, why the switch of teams?
So my first year I was in the NOJHL in Timmins.
Yep.
And then I wanted to come back home just because it was about 8 hours away. And, I was a young kid and didn't really want to be out
far
there
away. Yeah.
anymore, even though, I loved it there and I had great billet parents and a great team. But I just, wanted to be closer to home. And then I went to Kempville and we had a great coach, but our team wasn't doing that well. And he got let go. We had a new coach come in and it just wasn't the right fit for me. So I looked for another option and went to Cornwall after that. And it was kind of similar. The coach was more old school and he was really, really hard on us on the ice, which was good for me. And, he's a good coach, but again, I didn't see myself growing there. So I went to Smith Falls and I met the coach there whose name's Alex Armstrong, and he was coach GM, and he, really helped my game. And I had a lot of friends on that Smith Falls team from playing minor hockey with.
Okay.
So I, grew my game there and had a lot of fun. And then he bought Pembroke and wanted me to come there with him. So
you had a great year in Pembroke. Yeah.
He was really good to me and he was a really good coach, and it just kind of fit my style of game. And that's, I owe a lot to him for, really helping my career as a hockey player.
Now I see you had 112 penalty minutes that year in Pembroke. Was there a dropping of the glove or two to get up to 112?
There actually wasn't. It was more suspensions. My first fight was against Danbury. That was my first fight, actually.
Okay, gotcha. So in Pembroke, you had a few suspensions. What happened there?
Just playing a bit too hard. I was going a little bit. I was crossing the line, I guess.
Went over the edge a couple times, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
A couple times.
Fair enough. We don't know good. We don't need to go deeper. I can look it up online anyways, probably. No, I'm just kidding. So your first fight was technically with the Black Bears against Danbury.
Yeah.
Were you prepared for that?
Yeah, I would say I was prepared. My brother, grew up playing in the O, and he definitely wasn't afraid to drop the mitts. So he kind of, taught me a few things, and he kind of learned from other guys on how to fight as well. And my trainer in the summer is an MMA guy, so he, gave me a couple words of wisdom, and I saw Sirota on the ice, and was like, well, I guess this is the time to do it. So you just decided to.
All right, wait. So you trained a little bit with Sirota before fighting?
No. I just saw him on the ice and wasn't sure really what happened, but I figured someone had to stick up for him, so I just decided to do it.
Gotcha. I wasn't sure. Is there anybody that you've fought with on the team? Like, do you and Emery kind of like work on it a little bit?
No. No one that I practice with. I kind of just Bullard when he was at camp with.
Yep.
But I had a pretty good background from what my brothers kind of showed me, so I wasn't really too worried about it.
You mentioned your brother. Your brother's Zach Shankar, right? Yeah. And obviously he, after playing U Sports, he went Actually, he played with the Reading Royals for 4 games, and then he went with South Greenville Rangers, and then he went over to Europe. And he's still playing, obviously, today. More of a setup guy, right? More of an assist guy than a goal scorer.
Yeah, he's a defenseman, so he usually would run the top of the power play and work the puck around, and not much of a goal scorer, but definitely more of a setup guy.
How important has it been to be able to kind of be able to communicate? I'm sure you guys text each other here and there. How important has it been when you turned pro to be able to talk to him about it a little bit?
It's been pretty important in my growth as a pro hockey player. Just kind of talking to him and seeing, what he thinks, and discussing, games and the team and stuff like that. He's a good sounding board for me, and definitely a good mentor, as he's been, my whole life. So, he's played a crucial factor in my development as a hockey player. Do you think we could?
Well, that's good. That's probably the more important part, is the person thing than the hockey player thing. Do you think we could ever see the Shankar brothers on the same team in pro, right here in Binghamton? Even that would be great, right?
Yeah, that's something we, I think we both kind of dream of, is being able to lace them up and play together. Ever since we were little kids, I think we've kind of talked about it, and hopefully, one day we'll be able to. We were pretty close this year, but he decided to go a different route, and it's worked out for him. He loves where he's at, and I'm happy for him, and he's happy there. So, but I definitely wouldn't close the door on us being on the ice together at some point.
Well, that would be really cool. I think that would be very cool to see that. I think your father would really like that. I got to meet your father this past weekend. How important has really just the family dynamic? I talk about this all the time, that hockey players don't become hockey players without a family. They just don't. Whether it's the billet family, whether it's booster clubs, which we have one of the best booster clubs in all of minor pro hockey here in Binghamton, New York. If it isn't for people like that, the billet families, your real family, the booster clubs, hockey is a lot more difficult for the players. Talk a little bit about your dad and just what, because listen, he came right up. He's like, "Hey, this is Bob Howard." And I was like, I didn't even know who he was. He just recognized me, saw me, and I got to shake his hand and talk to him for a few minutes. How important has your family been towards your hockey career all throughout?
They've played, probably the biggest role in my hockey career. Just thinking about a couple minor things that they've done, just waking up in the morning, driving me to the rink, or driving me to the gym when I was younger to get a workout in before school at 6 a.m, even though they have to go work a full day after, and then finding rides for us to get to the rink, or paying extra money for us to get the training we need to get better. And my parents have never really said no in terms of us wanting to do something and wanting to get better at the game. And that goes for me, my brother, and my sister. They've been
nice.
They've been so key and so great to us, and I'm truly lucky to have such great parents.
Now, of course, your dad can come here and see you pro. He probably was he able to go to one of the ECHL games and see your brother play pro when he broke in?
I don't know if my dad went to any. No, he did. He went to one of the games in Reading. Him and my mom went.
Nice.
And then my mom also went to another one of his games when they were in Trois Rivières, because I think that's about 6 hours from where we live. but I know my brother needed her to take him back to school because he was still in school at the time.
Yeah.
So she went up there, stayed the night, and then drove him back to Toronto the next day.
Well, I have to say, you said the name very well. Here in America, we just say Three Rivers when it comes to them. Jacob, so I always ask people this, and you kind of touched upon it earlier in the interview, but I wanted to ask you, that first conversation with Brant Sherwood, was it 10 minutes? Was it 45 minutes? Did he talk your ear off as much as he talks my ear off?
I don't think it was that long of a conversation. I think it was probably 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah, see, he can talk.
But I was still working full time at the time.
Yeah.
So when I called him, I was actually, on a job site, and I was just, hanging out like outside, obviously where all the construction's going on, talking to him and, learning about Binghamton and him and, what the team's like and, asking, the important questions. But, it was a good conversation and I got, a good vibe from him and obviously everything I've heard about from Tyson, and him being here and loving it here, it made the decision a little bit easier in that sense.
Yeah.
After talking to him.
I mean, Tyson spent all summer here. He got married. It's like he really has come to love Binghamton, New York. Now, of course, winning 2 championships, being the captain, being applauded by everybody, you're going to tend to like that. But he seemed to really, to spend the whole summer here, was pretty impressive. Who was the first player that you got to meet when you got to Binghamton, other than Tyson?
The first player was Wyatt Friedlander. He's my roommate. So, I texted him that I made it here, and he came down, introduced himself to me, my mom, and my sister, and, helped me move in. And
nice.
Then we just kind of started talking, and yeah, he was the first guy, and it was great to meet him right away.
Perfect. All right. So I ask everybody this after we get past January 1st. So I'm going to still ask you this. What is the goal of the team this year?
Win a championship.
I like it. It's a good answer. I got to collect all of those and put it all together and run it at the end. Jacob, thank you very much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. It was good to get to know you. You, every time I see you, you always have a smile on your face, which is nice. Now, one of the times I saw you just recently, this past weekend, you basically were stuffing your face. That first game back, you were obviously hungry, and they had a good meal. I think it was the Jersey auction. What were you eating? Tell everyone what you were eating.
I was eating a Chipotle bowl, actually.
Huge.
And I was starving. I was starving after the game. But that's not because I was, out there and I hadn't been out there in so long. On game days, I only eat one meal.
Really?
So after the game, I'm always really, really hungry. So I usually, eat my post-game meal and then get home, relax for a little bit, and then go to bed. Okay,
wait. So explain this to me. So you only eat one meal. When do you eat that meal before the game?
On Friday night, which was our Jersey auction night, we went after practice to a diner, Park Diner.
Park Diner's a great diner. Yep, been there many times. So you just had one meal. That's all you ate before the game.
Yeah. I like to kind of be light when I play,
nice,
and not too full. So I just drink a lot of water and have that one meal and try to get enough protein in me that I'm good to go for the day.
And then you eat afterwards. So you do eat 2 meals probably on game days, just that only one before you play.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Very cool. I'm glad I asked that before I ended the interview. All right. Jacob, thank you very much for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
And we'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
If you're a Binghamton hockey fan, then you need to check out binghamtonhockey.net for all your news, stats, information, the Binghamton Hockey Hall of Fame, top 10 lists, profiles, and so much more. That's binghamtonhockey.net. You're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. That was Jacob Shankar. Now, Taylor, I actually made a post earlier today basically saying that I was looking through some pictures because I did take a lot of pictures on Inverse Jersey Night, and I saw this really great picture of a certain player, and I asked for 100 or more likes on that picture, and if that's the case, he would be the next guest here on the Power Play Post Show, or at least I'm going to try to make him the next guest. I can't guarantee anything, right? Because, I mean, the player could say no, but Garrett Sargis would be the only player at this point on the Binghamton Black Bears roster that has not been on the show. So I think the fans have spoken. I think it's gotten like 150 plus likes. So I think I almost am obligated to send that email to Brooks about potentially getting Garrett Sargis here on the show.
Yeah, I remember reading that post earlier today, and I laughed because you gave them until Sunday to get 100 likes. And I was like, he could have given it until 9 p.m. tonight, and it would have worked out fine. Because it was like, at the time that I was seeing it, it was already at like 46 or something like that. And then I didn't even finish reading it yet and had jumped to like 56. And I was like, I can't even I'm slow to the game, apparently.
Yeah, it's at right now, technically it's at 148. And it was at 100 within like 2.5 hours. So I think
I'm not. That's why I laughed when you gave them until Sunday to get that 100.
Yeah, I think the fans have spoken. They want to see it. There's even some fathers of players that have voted on that and definitely put that in there. So I'm definitely going to try it. Listen, Jacob, I explained to him the reason why he hadn't been on the show sooner was because that he got injured and he went on injured reserve. And one of the things that I learned back when I was, going through my own version of media school, which is basically learn on the go, is you don't interview guys when they're recovering from an injury. So if a player goes on injury and I had planned to maybe talk to him, within that week or 2 weeks, I just wait until they come back. And so I explained that to Jacob, so he knew as well why it's kind of taking a little while. Because I did know that he was becoming a popular player and people were going to want to hear from him. And I try to get everybody on. I really do try to at least get one interview in someone's career here in Binghamton on the show. So I'm kind of glad that we got that, and I hope everybody enjoyed that. And we got 6 more questions with him coming up. Now, support the Power Play Post Show by subscribing on YouTube. When you subscribe and like episodes, it signals to YouTube that hockey fans are engaging, which helps recommends the show to more viewers. Now, of course, if you're active on our YouTube page, you will see that we're doing clips of the day pretty much every single day, which is pretty cool. Even on days that we release episodes, we'll also give you a clip. And if you haven't noticed, on Fridays, the clip of the day is our preview, which you'll be hearing in just a couple of seconds anyways. As our community grows, we're able to deliver more interviews, insights, and hockey discussions. Subscribing and liking is the most effective and completely free way to support the show. Join fellow hockey fans and subscribe on YouTube today. We are trying to get to 500 because it's going to open up some possibilities for us. So please go over to YouTube and subscribe on there, especially if you're watching or listening on YouTube right now. All right, Taylor, with that being said, and me just saying that, I do the clip of the day on Friday as the preview to that weekend series. Let's talk about this upcoming weekend's games.
Previewing the Binghamton Black Bears and the Twin City Thunderbirds' final 2 meetings of the regular season. In the first 3 meetings between the Black Bears and the Thunderbirds, the Black Bears have won all 3 games. On November 29th, the Black Bears defeated the Thunderbirds 5-4. On January 9th, the Black Bears won in Winston-Salem 3-1. And on January 10th, the Black Bears won again in Winston-Salem 4-1. For Friday night's game, the Thunderbirds are without Jacob Schnapp and Caleb Mellinson due to suspensions. Both are serving 2-game suspensions. Schnapp for slur and lewd gesture policy he received last Friday. He will return to the lineup on Saturday evening if he travels with the team to Binghamton. Mellison was suspended for his second aggressor penalty last Saturday and will not be eligible to play this weekend at all.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a second. Now, Schnapps, if what we heard is true, I don't know. At some point, maybe Twin City just needs to get rid of him, because he is the one player on their team that just doesn't fit the mold of Coach Harrison. You know what I mean? It's like everybody on that team that I've seen play there, I've really liked and I respect and I have, good thoughts about. Schnapps sometimes just, I mean, as much as I think he's a good player and I think he plays the game very well, he does things sometimes. And if this last thing is what I heard is true, and he said it to the person that I think he said it to, and what he said, I don't understand how he's still on the team.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the consensus that a lot of other people are coming to. And I almost wonder if the coaches kind of came to that at one point as well, because there was rumors that he was going to be traded to
Blue Ridge,
the Bobcats. Yeah. And as soon as that rumor came out, the amount of fan rage that came from Twin City was insane, to the point they canceled the transaction. If it was going to happen or not, I really don't know. But it basically, somebody said that there was rumors around that he was going to get traded to the Bobcats, and the fan outpour from Carolina it came flowing in. There was like no end to it, and
but how
it
can
basically just ended up not happening.
But how can they like a guy that just did what he did? And I get it. The game is fast. The players are passionate, but you don't say what you said to an 8-year-old girl. Right? That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy to me, but I don't know. I've got nothing. I really don't, because I mean, maybe they like the way that he plays on the ice and the way he kind of stands up for his team, or he'll fight anybody, or he'll do this or he'll do that, and he can score or whatever. Maybe that makes up for the other stuff that he does that isn't so good. I mean, maybe they're just like, well, that's one really bad thing, but this is all the good things. And maybe they're just weighing it that way. And they just tend not to, I don't know, maybe they're just overlooking it. I really don't know. It's crazy.
All right, well, let's continue on with the preview.
The Black Bears should see Nick Swain return to the lineup this weekend, and unless something changes, which we kind of already talked about a little bit, we could expect Zach Sirota back. He hasn't heard anything about it, but he could return to the Black Bears from the Rivermen of the SPHL, but there is no guarantee that he does.
Right. And at this point, we're thinking that he may not, because he may not be here right now as we're recording this here on Wednesday, and, flying down and flying back. At this point, we just don't know, but we also know that Tyson's not going to be there. So, there is, I think it's going to be a full squad, 18 players dressed for the games on Friday and Saturday. It's just that Tyson and Zach will probably not be there for us, but Nick Swain should be back.
Yeah, as long as Nick Swain is back, there's, we're not going to be missing a person. We're not going to be down a player. There shouldn't be any kind of worry in that sense.
Agreed.
The Black Bears are 34-0 with 88 points and an .863 winning percentage. The Thunderbirds are 13-17-1 with 38 points and a .409 winning percentage. Last weekend, the Thunderbirds split a home-and-home series with the Blue Ridge Bobcats. Maybe that's why they're salty, that they don't want to lose Schnapp because they don't want to face them. Because I think they face Blue Ridge quite a lot, don't they?
In the month of January, you're going to love this. They have 10 games. 4 of them were against the Black Bears and 6 of them were against the Blue Ridge Bobcats. If you think about it, Carolina in the month of was our December, right? Our December going into January was we played 9 games against Watertown and Danbury. They did basically the same thing. 4 games against us, 6 games against the Bobcats. That's crazy. You got to mix that up a little bit. Well, why isn't, give all right. Boy, I hate doing this.
I know you want to face Blue Ridge. We understand.
No, I think if you gave us Blue Ridge 2 or 3 times in the month of January, and you gave them Danbury, Carolina Danbury, it breaks up the schedule a little bit better. All right, carry on. I said it.
On Friday, the Thunderbirds lost in Wytheville, Virginia to the Bobcats 4-2. Then on Saturday, the Thunderbirds won in Winston-Salem, North Carolina over the Bobcats 4-3 in overtime, with Roman Kramer getting the game winner 2:51 into the overtime period. The Black Bears also split last weekend to the PD Ice Cats. I know it's a sore subject, but it's got to get talked about.
Yeah, absolutely.
On Friday, the Black Bears won 6-3 over the Ice Cats with a 3-goal burst in the third period to secure the win. On Saturday, the Black Bears lost, being shut out by the Ice Cats 4-0. Only the third time in franchise history that the Black Bears had been shut out, and the only time it's been done at home.
Yeah. So the Black Bears are led by CJ Stubbs, 34 games played, 25 goals, 39 assists for 64 points, 9 power play goals, 1 shorthanded goal, and 8 game-winning goals. Ivan Bondarenko has 34 games played, finally got that 8th goal. Yes, yes, yes. 49 assists and 57 points, 1 power play goal. Gavin Yates, 30 games played, 21 goals. So he's got 21. I said earlier I think it was 20, but it's 21 goals. 29 assists for 50 points, 8 power play goals, 2 game-winning goals. Dominic Tomei, 16-2-0 with a 1.90 goals against average and 929 save percentage. The Thunderbirds are led by who else? Gus Ford, 31 games played, 21 goals, 26 assists for 47 points, 6 power play goals and 2 game-winning goals. Zach White, 29 games played, 18 goals, 21 assists, 39 points, 2 power play goals and 2 game-winning goals. Josh LaBelle, 30 games played, 4 goals, 27 assists for 31 points, 3 power play goals and 1 game-winning goal. And Boris Babic, 10-12-1 with a 3.22 goals against average and a 914 save percentage. Special teams, Binghamton power play ranked 1, 57 power play goals, 28%, which is amazing and really awesome. PK is ranked first, 14 power play goals against. If you think about it, they played 34 games and they've only allowed 14 power play goals. That's crazy. 91% kill rate. This is where I think that Binghamton just outpowers Twin City. Twin City's power play ranked 11th, 22 power play goals, 16%, and their PK is ranked 13th, almost last, 36 power play goals against, 70%. Taylor, I have to ask you, before we get to the poster giveaway, I have to ask you, how do you think the team is going to respond after the 4-0 loss playing at home against Twin City?
You cut out on me.
Oh, I was going to ask you, what is your thoughts on the reaction from the Black Bears? How do you think the Black Bears are going to react after the 4-0 shutout to the coming back home again against the Twin City Thunderbirds?
I don't think we're going to see any hesitation on, the loss that happened on Saturday. It's something that happened. You're bound to lose a game here and there. I know it was the first shutout that's happened at home for the Binghamton franchise history.
Right.
But it's just another loss. It's regulation. It's not anything that's that important right now. At least in my opinion, we're still first in the Empire Division. We still have 88 points. We're still, first power play, first penalty kill. Like, nothing affected us losing that game, in my opinion. If anything, it just gave them something that they could look at and be like, well, this didn't work, or this is what we need to work on. And that's maybe something that's hard to do when you're winning all the time.
Sure.
So honestly, I think, that game happened. They talked about some of the things that happened in that game, but then they just moved on, and you get ready for the next opponent that you're going to face the following weekend. I think it's not going to have any effect on what happens this next weekend.
I agree. And I think they come out on Friday and have a huge game.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure. And, I've always loved playing Carolina,
me too.
even though they're not the same team that they have been the last couple seasons. But I don't know. I've really enjoyed kind of what happens between both teams against Carolina. And it seems like if they give us any kind of power play opportunities at all, it could be really good for us.
Yeah, totally agree. Okay, Taylor, it's time for the 11x14 player poster giveaway. Please tell the fans this week's special code phrase.
Well, this one's for the home team. That's right. This week's code phrase is home team.
Okay, fans, if you're the 11th person, if you're an Emory person to message Taylor. So 11th person to message Taylor with the special code phrase home team, you will win an 11x14 player poster of your choice. Winner gets to choose from any current Black Bears player, and we'll deliver the poster at an upcoming home game. Send that special code phrase in, and thank you for listening to the Power Play Post Show. And I was going to say now back to the preview, but I don't have to because the preview is over with. So home team, if you're number 11, if you're the 11th person,
which is Durazio, not Emery.
It is Durazio. Emery is number 10.
Yeah, you dropped the ball on that one, but it's all right. I gotcha.
So Durazio, if you are if you're the number Durazio to message Taylor, at least we're having fun here, right? That's what we can say. We're having fun.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, the fans are definitely enjoying it. I know that as soon as I wake up tomorrow, I'm just going to start getting messages because that's what happened last week. I didn't even get to take my daughter to the school bus, not getting a message. So it's definitely a lot of fun, and I'm excited for it to happen again. And this time it's a little further in. So maybe people are gonna wait and see, or maybe, I don't know. We'll see what kind of happens tomorrow.
Yeah. So you have to be the 11th person to message home team to Taylor, and hopefully that doesn't burn people like, oh, why'd they pick home team? Now we got to talk about that damn song again.
I don't know. I think you're the only one that's, I mean, we've talked about the video before.
Yeah.
But I think all the other fans actually still really enjoy it. So I think it's a good code phrase for this week.
Oh, it's okay. No, I think it's great. So make sure that you're the 11th person to send it in. We had a great time. We had 2 great winners last week because they messaged Taylor at the same time. But one of them picked Dan Stone. One of them picked Ivan Bondarenko, which is great. You can pick whoever you want who's on the team. And we'll even include Zach Sirota and Connor McAnanima if you want to. So that's pretty much it, folks. Just get that sent in, and we'll take care of the rest. The power play. Go ahead. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, and both Dan Stone and Ivan Bondarenko both really enjoyed the posters and enjoyed signing them and taking pictures with the fans.
Oh, absolutely,
so
100%.
If that's something that you wanted to do, is get it signed. The players so far have absolutely loved it, and it's a great way to kind of make it even more special.
Now, you weren't there because you obviously had to leave and everything, but when Dan Stone saw the poster, he's like, oh wow, this is cool. He was kind of surprised. I don't think he had seen this poster before, right? And Miguel said, yeah, this is a giveaway from the Power Play Post Show. And then Dan turns and looks at me because I was standing right there watching the whole thing go down, and I had a big smile on my face. He goes, this is cool, and he gave me a fist pump. So the players were absolutely ecstatic about it. Yvonne thought it was great, and we did give Yvonne the signed one,
the
from
original.
Keller. Yeah, the original mock-up. We gave it to him. I told him that there was something written on the back, and he absolutely was ecstatic about that as well. So, which is very cool. So, folks, get that in. If you're the 11th person to message Taylor tomorrow, you will get a chance. You will win an 11x14 player poster of your choice. So there, we've now repeated it a few times. It is home team. It is home team. All right. The Power Play Post is available on all major podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Join the conversation on Facebook, search the Power Play Post Show, and become part of our community. Looking for everything Binghamton Hockey, visit binghamtonhockey.net. Thank you to Rob Lepolis, our MC, John Petitucci, our musical director, and from the Binghamton Black Bears forward, Jacob Shankar. I am Bob Howard. She is
Taylor Welch.
And we'll talk to you guys again on Sunday right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Power Play Post Show. Be sure to tune in next week to the Box Studios Radio Network for all the latest Black Bears news and interviews from around minor league hockey. The Power Play Post Show would like to thank John Patitucci for all the music you hear on the show. You've been listening to the Power Play Post Show.